Okay, hi, I'm Debbie House, editor of Retail Touchpoints, here at the 100th Annual NRF Convention in New York at the Javits Center. I'm joined today with Dave Gruehn, who is the Retail and Hospitality Industry Solutions Director for Microsoft. We're going to talk for a few minutes about some retail trends, what Microsoft is up to, and we'll take it from there. I'm just going to jump right in with you.
How you doing, Deb?
Good, how are you?
The 100th show.
The 100th. Were you here for the first one?
To?
I think I've been to maybe 8 or so.
It's my 15th.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, that's frightening.
I know. But we digress.
Expected to be quite the show this year. There are, I'm hearing anything from 20 to 23,000 people, so we're going to be pretty exhausted by the end of the day tomorrow.
Are you?
For now. Speaking of the show, I just want to talk a little bit about what your impressions are so far from what you've seen in the first half a day of the show, and kind of what your expectations are for what's going to happen this year.
Well, I tell you, I'm actually very pleased, and my expectations actually have been exceeded, although they were pretty high to begin with. I remember 2 years at this show. There was a lot of partners talking to a lot of partners on that show floor. I mean, I'd never seen it. Yeah. That would have been my 13th NRF, and I'd never seen anything like that. It was alarming.
Yeah, it's quiet.
Last year, I remember going into the show, retailers were very cautiously optimistic, but nail-biting, because some of them knew if they didn't have a good Christmas, it was their last NRF. And it popped. And I think the wave of optimism and confidence that resulted from just getting that mental stimulation, that mental boost of being here last year, carried well into 2010. And in my interviews with most of the major Tier 1 retailers over the past 6 to 10 months, culminating in some meetings, board meetings in October, the tone was very cautious optimism. Retailers don't want to come out and say they're going to have a good Christmas because that'll jinx it, but they were all saying under their breath, oh, this could be good. And then a couple of retailers just came out and said, this is going to be awesome. And I think this is a barometer for the industry. When you see people who are flocking to this show, that means it's okay to be here. We had a good year. We're excited about investing. And I think this may break a record this year. So a couple of observations. One, I'm seeing now more marketing and CMO types who are kind of joining their CIO counterparts because they're beginning to realize it's part of what we're doing in our one of our special environments is how do we bridge those two worlds together, because it's critically important, and CEOs in some cases are mandating that. So more marketing people showing up. CPG companies are starting to get interested. The international presence has started to grow. I think it was about 25%. My guess is it'll be over 30 this year. So if you've been out on the show floor, and I briefly went out and checked our booth, it's packed out there, and that's a great sign.
Yeah. Do you think, you hear a lot of talk about, I mean, the numbers in the economy are still kind of shaky. Unemployment's still pretty high, even though I think the last number was the lowest it's been in a while. I hear some people say they feel like consumers are just tired of not spending. Is that
Pent-up demand?
Yeah. You think that's part of it? Does the economy need to continue to go this way in order for the optimism to continue and the spending to continue?
It's interesting. It's what's driving what, which is coming first. And I've just read some recent articles that said people are actually okay to spend now.
Yeah.
And I honestly think this is a perception-driven environment. I think that if they sense that other people are confident, it gives them I mean, of course, if you're out of a job, you're out of a job. But you get more excited that there's potential to get a job if you don't have one, if you hear this buzz that people are, that things are coming back. And I think, when you look at the attendance at the show, that means people are optimistic. That hits blogs, that hits Facebook, that hits Twitter, which drives the media to say, oh, well, everybody seems happy, which people start becoming happy. I mean, perception is reality. Truth is not reality. Perception is reality.
There you go.
But that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. I mean, we want to be happy. You're right. There was some pent-up demand. And so I think it's driving everybody to feel positive.
It should be a good year for retail. So where do you believe that retailers are going to be focusing their budgets this year on what areas of implementations?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you that I think that the light has gone on in terms of, I really better shore up some of my infrastructure in various places, because The analogy I like to use is the wave of opportunity leveraging technology as a conduit through things like mobility in a store, through things like our V2 version of Surface, which is significantly reduced in price, is 4 inches thick, and can now be placed on a wall. I hear people saying, oh, we got to throw those out in the store. My analogy is, okay, let's put the 4-ton jacuzzi on the second floor, but have you seen the cracks in the foundation? Because we probably need to discuss that just a little bit. And they're beginning to realize that's a problem. And I'm like, yeah, because the jacuzzi is going to be old news next week when you want to put, the water immersion room in it that Jackson used to use, but whatever. My point being, I think there's a lot of infrastructure shoring up, most certainly mobility. How can I find a way to leverage the consumer's device to build relationships and build rapport and get to know that customer better? Whether it's building their own device, whether it's taking advantage of the cloud, and we're very heavily extended into some of the offerings now that we have in the cloud and our infrastructure in the cloud. But I think the biggest one's just going to be figuring out what does customer service mean to them. You look at Home Depot, for instance. They came in, Matt Carey came in, realized that he was dealing with 1991 technology, and I'm quoting this out of some of their, their annual reports. And he said, we got to catch up in 5 years, and they're making massive investments, and look where they're doing it. Infrastructure, biggest deployment of consumer mobility using Motorola and Windows devices in the history of the industry, because that's customer experience enablement tools. Clienteling, I think, is another huge one. How do you differentiate yourself with customer service, which means I got to know who my customers are, without the ability to be able to share experiences like one associate may have with the entire company? I mean, if I have a really great experience with an associate who I thought did an excellent job of genuinely helping me get what I want in a Guitar Center in New York, when I go into the Guitar Center in Dallas, I'm going to want that same experience. So they're going to need some technology as a conduit help to figure out how to enable that to happen.
It's a big order.
Well, guess what? The customers are big expectations.
Are there still an awful lot of retailers out there that have outdated legacy systems in there that before they do any of this, you're talking about that a little bit. Is that
more than you would think?
Yeah.
And some of them, I think, are beginning to realize it, and they're actually alarmed, some of them, because they're literally, in some cases, and these are to the extreme, but these are tier 1 retailers who will tell you, if I touch this, I have no idea what it's going to break down here.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't touch it. And we're like, well, all right, but at some point, this is not going to work anymore. And it's really the customer that's dictating, what options, how agile do you need to be? What options do you need to be able to take advantage of if and when they make sense for your business? In some cases, you look at what Home Depot's doing, they're not quite ripping and replacing, but they're coming pretty close. Not everybody can do that. So you look for where are some areas that I can invest that'll have huge impact with minor investment, but that will build that perception or seed that awareness that a technology conduit's critical and the right infrastructure is critical, and it pays for itself just based on the ability that you get on a return from things that infrastructure enables you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Generally, overarching trends in retail that you're seeing that are going to continue to drive change and innovation.
Well, big buzzword, of course, mobility. But one that I think differentiates customer-centric retailers from ones that just call themselves customer-centric is this cross-channel integration. And remember, even saying cross-channel, that's a retail-centric point of view. The customer has one channel, and it's in front of them. That's their world. And the ability to create an experience, regardless of whether it's in the home, whether it's in a store, on their phone, with their friends, on the web, the ability to have a common experience that's value in every one of those areas will get attention. And when you look at the capability and how people are leveraging the viral, powerful aspects of social networking, those positive experiences can explode depending on who has it and how much they're willing to talk about it. And anymore, I think you got to be sensitive to the fact that if somebody takes the time to go out and say, you know what, this blew me away. I actually had an amazingly positive experience in this retailer, that's going to spread choices virally as a negative one, because everybody talks about their negative experiences. If you're taking the time to say, this blew me away, That's valuable. That's powerful.
Surprise your consumers.
Oh, yeah,
into
exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that retailers are overwhelmed now at this point with, okay, now I'm just starting to figure out what to do with the social channel. Now and I have to get on this mobility thing before it's too late.
I think they were overwhelmed 5 years ago. The ones that were actually dipping their toe in this, they're most certainly overwhelmed. Now, some of them, I see 3 different types. You know, when I'm talking about innovation, where things are going, which my team and I do a lot, I see 3 different people in the audience, typically. The ones who are going, wow, that could change the game. We need to figure out a way how to make this happen, or at least get it started. Second group, deer in the headlights. Oh my God, I have no idea. I'm frozen. I don't even know what to do. The third's the ones that scare me the most. They're like, please God, don't let this happen. Please, 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 I don't want this to happen. Don't let it go. Because they just realize their culture, their environment just will refuse to accept and assimilate change. And those are the companies that may not be around in 5 years.
Right.
So yeah, they need help. And for really the first time in my 20-year career in IT, retail IT, I have seen more of a need and demand for really solid quality partners who can help you get to where you need to be. And you need to pick them carefully in various areas. Who's got the fastest agility and ability to get you to market quickest? Who's touching the most channels? Who's got guaranteed innovation because of the amount they're investing in new and emerging technologies? Then there's the telco stuff. You know, who's got the best ability to get me everywhere I need to be? I mean, you can kind of do the math, but you can't ignore it anymore. Consumerization of IT is a force to be reckoned with. You can't ignore it without ramifications, but it can be a huge opportunity to differentiate if you figure out how to take advantage of it.
So last question, just we've been through a rough couple of years in the economy. What's been Microsoft's strategy through that, and how's it worked for you?
Well, we actually jumped on this pretty quickly. I mean, Microsoft's always tried to be a low-cost provider. I mean, some people may snuff at that, but I mean, compared to things that other vendors probably are charging you 3, 4, 5 times as much for, we throw more things in a box typically than most. But during the last 2 to 3 years, we very quickly jumped on the fact that, you know what, a lot of retailers own our software already. How can we help them leverage what they've already got to make a difference? So let me give you a couple examples. This consumerization of IT. You know, we and others, analysts and stuff, begin to educate. You know, what is that? How do I tap into that? How do I leverage that? We looked at Gruehn. You know, how can you use the new features of Windows 7 to reduce the energy footprint in a store, at your corporate environment? How do I reduce servers using virtualization that comes with Windows Server? Saw a ton of virtualization in Thin Client. And then, you know, simple things like business analytics and reporting and that kind of stuff. You've got very expensive packages. Do you realize how much of that stuff you could actually do in Excel and SQL already? So it was really an awareness and education process. And it was very successful because they liked the fact that they're not trying to sell me a whole lot more stuff. They're trying to help me get more value out of stuff I already own. And it was very well received.
And with new implementations, do you find yourself having to answer the question, so how quick is my ROI going to be on this? And how do you
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, retail has taken almost the lead as an industry in understanding the capability of the cloud. So when you look at, you know, it's critical for me to have portals and intranet capability in my stores for my associates, because they're actually trying to do this anyway out on Facebook in the public domain. So how do I harness, you know, their knowledge? How do I share best practices? How do I get them to act as a community and give us feedback very quickly? And yet the thought of trying to roll out, Office and SharePoint, all this stuff physically to a store, that's not a very short-term equation. But you can roll out Office 365 in the cloud in an amazingly short period of time. And we figured out how to make it affordable to retailers, because we understand that these aren't knowledge workers in the stores. These are task people that don't need to be in a back office. So take mobile devices and be able to use this stuff in the cloud in the store. Boom, and guess what? We manage the infrastructure. We manage the updates. You don't have to worry about any of that. And we provide probably a service level agreement in the cloud environment that's second to none. And that's really what I think gets people is it's like, you're actually going to back this up with, you know, real dollars? And we're like, yeah, why wouldn't we do that? Not all of our competitors are doing that.
Great. Well, thanks for your time today.
My pleasure.
Good luck with the rest of the show. It's going to be a fun one this year, I think. Your, what number was it, 15?
15.
15.
Yeah, I started in the business when I was 15. So.
Yeah, well,
I just let my age out.
all right,
Thank
great.
you very much.
Thank you.